Welcome to Max Life Man, your essential YouTube channel, expertly led by our top expert, Dr. Sterling Thorne. Dr. Thorne and his top team from the prestigious Evergreen Peaks Institute bring years of dedicated research and hands-on experience in men's health. We deliver insightful, heartfelt podcasts designed to optimize your health and unlock your best self. Gentlemen, let me ask you something few doctors will ever say out loud. Do you really know what's happening inside your body after 60? Most men don't. They assume the bathroom trips at night, the weaker stream, the fading erections, the loss of energy. It's just normal aging. They shrug, they laugh it off, they keep silent. But here's the truth no one tells you. These are not harmless quirks. They are signals. Warnings. Your body whispering that something is wrong before it starts to scream. For too long, men over 60 have been told two lies. First, that masturbation at any age is always harmless. Second, that prostate enlargement is inevitable, untreatable, and must be suffered in silence. Both are wrong. Science tells us something different. The way you manage your private habits, the foods you eat each morning, the recovery you allow yourself. All of these choices decide whether your prostate heals or inflames, whether your circulation thrives or collapses, whether your manhood remains alive or fades away. And here's the shocker. It isn't always the pills, the surgeries, or the latest fads that change everything. Sometimes it's something as simple as a fruit. One powerful fruit, overlooked by most men, that can help shrink the prostate naturally, restore healthy flow, and even boost vitality. That's what we'll uncover today. But before we go deeper, I want you to do something that might feel small but could change everything. Hit that like button. Now you might be thinking, Doc, why would I like a video before I even hear the whole message? Let me tell you why, because liking isn't for me, it's for you. When you tap that button, you're doing two things. First, you're telling YouTube, show me more of this, show me more wisdom, more truth, more answers that matter to men like me. Second, and far more important, you're making a declaration to yourself. My health matters, my future matters, I will not stay silent anymore. And here's my promise to you. Every man who taps like today will not just support this message, he will invite something bigger into his own life. I've seen it time and again in this community. The men who engage, who lean in, who take even the smallest step, they are the ones who change. They are the ones who find their energy returning, their confidence rebuilt, their nights more peaceful, their mornings more powerful. So here is my blessing for you. May every man who taps like today find unexpected joy, deeper health, and the very thing his heart has been quietly wishing for. May the universe bring you peace, strength, and the miracle you thought was beyond reach. It might sound mystical, but think about it. Change always begins with one step, one choice, one signal. Tapping like is symbolic. It says to your own mind, I am ready. And when you say that, doors begin to open. You'll see it. Try it now. You'll feel the difference. Gentlemen, let's continue. I've been a urologist for over 3 decades. I've sat across from thousands of men, retired soldiers, steelworkers, teachers, truck drivers, who all carried the same secret shame. They felt their body was betraying them. They thought they were broken. But what I've learned is this: you are not broken. You are simply missing the truth. Take Harold, 67, a retired firefighter. He thought his nightly habits were keeping him sharp. In reality, he was overdoing frequency, draining his testosterone and inflaming his prostate. Once he made small adjustments, respecting recovery, listening to his prostate, changing his morning diet, his morning erections returned. His wife said to me, Doc, I feel like I have my husband back. Or David, 70, a steelworker who thought sugar was harmless because he wasn't overweight. What he didn't know was that his nightly desserts were hardening his arteries and choking his circulation. When he changed, his blood sugar stabilized, his vitality returned, and with tears in his eyes, he told me, Doc, I thought I was losing manhood. Turns out I was just feeding the wrong thing. These are not miracles. They are the result of correcting mistakes and listening to the truth. And that is why today's conversation matters. We will expose the 4 dangerous masturbation mistakes men over 60 are making. Mistakes that silently damage nerves, weaken circulation, and inflame the prostate. And we will reveal the truth about one powerful fruit that can shrink the prostate naturally and restore vitality, something no pill or quick fix can replicate. But let me circle back to you. Don't just listen passively. Don't just nod your head and move on. Engage, type in the comments, share your truth. If you woke up last night to urinate, type yes. If you're struggling with energy, type energy. If you know you've been pushing too hard, type balance. Because when you engage, you not only help yourself, you help every man who sees your courage. And once again, don't forget to hit that like button. Because I believe this, those who like today will find more than just a video. They will find strength, they will find hope, and they will find that the universe has not finished with them yet. Gentlemen, decline is not destiny. Silence is not wisdom. And today you will discover truths that may surprise you, inspire you, and even change your life. So buckle in. Let's begin. Gentlemen, the very first mistake I want to spotlight is the one most men fall into without even realizing it: overdoing frequency. For years, men have been fed the phrase, use it or lose it. It sounds logical, the idea that if you don't stay active every single day, your body will shut down. And maybe when you were 25, there was some truth to that. Your hormones surged, your nerves reset overnight, your circulation rebounded in hours. But after 60, the rules change. What once kept you sharp now quietly wears you down. I'll give you an example. Robert, 65, a retired school teacher, came into my office looking drained. His words were simple. "Doc, I thought if I just kept doing it every day, I'd stay strong. But the more I do it, the weaker I feel. My energy is flat, my erections are softer, and my sleep is a mess." He thought he was failing. In reality, he was just overtraining his system. Here's why this matters. Every release sets off a hormonal cascade. Testosterone dips temporarily. Prolactin rises, that's the hormone that makes you feel finished for a while. The nervous system switches from drive to rest mode. Pelvic nerves fire intensely, then need time to recharge. Nitric oxide, the molecule that fuels circulation, is depleted and has to rebuild. When you're young, all this resets in hours. After 60, it can take days. Ignore that cycle. And instead of staying active, you're draining yourself dry. And the science is clear. A study in the International Journal of Impotence Research found that men over 60 who engaged too frequently actually had lower testosterone, more fatigue, and higher rates of erectile dysfunction than men who allowed recovery. More was not better, more was worse. Think of your body as a rechargeable battery. At 20, you could drain it to 0 and it would refill overnight. At 65, that same battery takes longer. If you keep draining before it's full, the charge weakens, and over time, the capacity itself shrinks. That's what overdoing frequency does to your manhood. And it's not just erections. Overuse disrupts sleep, clouds memory, and drains mood. I've had men tell me they feel irritable, unfocused, or depressed, yet they never connect it to what they are doing privately. They blame getting old. But the truth is, it's not age, it's imbalance. Robert, the teacher, finally trusted me. He cut back from daily to twice a week. At first, he panicked. "Doc, I'm afraid I'll lose it completely." But something unexpected happened. Within weeks, his morning erections returned. His energy stabilized. His wife leaned over and whispered, "Doc, he's calmer now, patient and honestly, more like the man I married." That's the power of balance. So here's my question for you. Are you pushing too hard out of fear, or are you willing to trust recovery and discover that less can actually give you more? I want you to do something bold. If you know deep down you might be overdoing it, type the word balance in the comments, because naming it is the first step to changing it. And when you comment, you'll realize how many men here are facing the exact same battle. You are not alone. And before we continue, hit that like button, not for me, but for you. Because when you do, you're saying, I choose strength over fear. I choose wisdom over habit. And here's my blessing. May every man who likes today find his battery recharged, his mornings stronger, and his confidence restored. Mistake #1 is about frequency. And once you correct it, you stop draining your power and start building it back. But there's another mistake, just as dangerous, that often hides behind silence, ignoring the signals from your prostate. Gentlemen, the second mistake is one of the most dangerous because it hides in plain sight, ignoring the signals from your prostate. Let me ask you a direct question. Yes or no, did you wake up more than once last night to urinate? If your answer is yes, your prostate is already speaking to you. If your answer is no, be thankful, but stay alert because for most men over 60, those signals eventually knock at the door. The sad truth? Most men laugh it off. They joke about the midnight shuffle. They tell themselves, well, I'm older now, it's normal. But gentlemen, hear me clearly, it is not normal, and it is not harmless. It's a whisper, and if you ignore it, that whisper becomes a scream. The prostate is small, about the size of a walnut, but it sits at a crossroads. When it enlarges or inflames, it squeezes the urethra, strangles blood flow, and irritates the bladder. That's why you wake at night. That's why the stream weakens. That's why you feel like you're never fully empty. And here's the kicker, all that pressure night after night doesn't just rob your sleep, it robs your erections, your energy, even your heart health. I'll tell you about Leonard, 69, a retired accountant. He joked, "Doc, I don't even need an alarm clock. My bladder wakes me up every 2 hours." He thought it was funny, but his tests told another story, significant enlargement, rising kidney stress, chronic inflammation. What he dismissed as normal aging was quietly eroding his health, and Leonard isn't alone. Research from the Mayo Clinic shows untreated prostate enlargement doubles the risk of urinary infections, increases kidney strain, and accelerates erectile dysfunction. That's not just inconvenience, that's damage. Here's the truth, your body always whispers first. Frequent urination, dribbling, weak flow, pressure in the lower belly. These are whispers. Ignore them and one day your body will scream through pain, blockage, or permanent loss of function. The good news, you can act now. You can shrink risk and support your prostate with simple steps. Hydrate smart. Water during the day, less at night. Eat prostate-friendly foods, tomatoes, pumpkin seeds, broccoli, all proven to calm inflammation. Move your body. Walking and stretching improve circulation. Balance stimulation. Overdoing frequency only irritates the prostate further. When Leonard finally listened, he changed. He cut evening alcohol, shifted to a cleaner diet, and walked after dinner. Within 3 months, he was sleeping 6 hours straight. His wife said, "Doc, we both feel 20 years younger, not just because he rests, but because I rest." That is the power of listening early. So I'll ask you again, did you wake up more than once last night? Drop a simple yes or no in the comments. It may seem small, but it's the first step in breaking silence. And you'll see, you're not the only one. Thousands of men here are facing the same whispers. And before we continue, tap that like button. Because every man who does is saying, I will not ignore my body's signals any longer. And may those who like today find peaceful nights, stronger mornings, and renewed hope. Mistake #2 is ignoring the prostate. But once you start listening, you take back control. And that prepares us for the third mistake, one that hides in your very technique, the way you've trained your body for decades without realizing the long-term cost. Gentlemen, mistake number 3 is one most men never talk about, but it quietly sabotages them year after year, using the wrong technique. Let's be brutally honest here. Many of you developed habits decades ago, quick, rough, focused only on release. It worked in your 20s and 30s. Your body bounced back quickly, your hormones surged like fire, your nerves were fresh. But after 60, that same old habit doesn't just stop working, it begins to harm you. Here's why. The penile nerves are like delicate wiring. They're designed for gentle, rhythmic stimulation. When you grip too tightly, apply too much friction, or rely on unnatural speed, you're essentially rewiring your system in the wrong direction. Instead of heightening sensitivity, you dull it. Instead of strengthening response, you desensitize the very nerves that control arousal. A real story, Charles, 71. Charles, a retired truck driver, came to me nearly in tears. "Doc," he said, "I can't feel anything anymore unless I do it myself, and even then it takes forever." His wife was frustrated, their intimacy was fading, and he felt humiliated. After listening, I asked gently about his habits. That's when the truth came out. Decades on the road, lonely nights in motels. He had relied on what's called the death grip, a tight, aggressive style no partner could replicate. Over time, his brain and body had adapted to only that. Natural intimacy no longer registered. And Charles is not unique. A 2016 study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine described this very condition: masturbation-induced erectile dysfunction. It showed that men who trained themselves with excessive pressure and speed developed long-term sensitivity loss, erectile difficulties, and diminished satisfaction with real partners. Gentlemen, here's the irony. What begins as a shortcut to pleasure ends as a barrier to focus
intimacy.
on rhythm,
You
not
think you're
speed.
keeping yourself in
Reconnect
shape.
the brain. But in reality,
Engage with
you're training your
sensation,
body
not
to
just
fail
outcome.
where it
Think of
matters
natural
most.
intimacy, not
Solutions,
mechanical release.
retraining the body.
Give it time.
The
Sensitivity
good news
doesn't
is that
return
nerves
overnight,
can heal,
but they need
consistency,
patience.
it does return.
Ease up.
Charles made the shift.
Reduce pressure.
At first, he said it
reduce
felt
force.
impossible, like nothing worked. But slowly, week by week, sensation returned. His wife was the first to notice. One evening, she whispered, "Doc, the spark is back in his eyes." That's the power of retraining. Audience cue and a moment, and let me pause here to read a comment I often see on this channel. "Doc, are you saying I've ruined myself permanently?" The answer, gentlemen, is no. You are not ruined. You are not broken. What's broken is the pattern you've been repeating. Your nerves are adaptable. They can desensitize, but they can also resensitize if given the right training. Just like muscles recover after injury, your nervous system can reset, but only if you stop punishing it with the wrong technique. The choice is yours. So let me ask you plainly, are you training your body toward connection or toward numbness? Every session is a vote for intimacy or a vote for isolation, a vote for strength or a vote for decline. If you've ever suspected your technique might be harming you, type reset in the comments. It's one word, but it means you're ready to give your body a second chance. And before we continue, hit that like button. Because every man who does is saying, I choose sensitivity, I choose connection, I choose life. And here's my blessing. May those who like today discover renewed sensation, restored intimacy, and the spark of joy they thought was gone. Mistake #3 is all about technique. Once you correct it, you stop training your body to fail and start training it to thrive again. But there's another mistake, quieter, hidden, but just as destructive, that men make, neglecting recovery time. Gentlemen, mistake number 4 is one that hides beneath pride and discipline. It's the belief that the more often you keep active, the stronger you'll stay. The mistake, neglecting recovery time. Let's cut to the truth. Your body is not a machine that can be revved endlessly without pause. It's a living system, hormones, nerves, and circulation working together in delicate balance. Every climax sets that system into motion, and every climax requires time for repair. When you were 25, you could push every day and bounce back overnight. But at 65 or 75, that same approach doesn't make you stronger. It quietly depletes you. The hormonal reset. After release, testosterone dips while prolactin rises. Prolactin is the hormone that makes you feel finished. In younger men, testosterone rebounds quickly, prolactin drops in hours, and drive returns. But in older men, prolactin lingers for days, keeping testosterone suppressed and desire flatlined. If you push again, you're not training vitality, you're training low testosterone. The nervous system cooled down. Think of your pelvic nerves like electrical wires. During climax, they fire at full current. But afterward, they need time to cool. Without recovery, nerves stay overstimulated and sensitivity fades. That's why men who rush often notice numbness, weaker response, or difficulty reaching climax. It's not age. It's nerves that never had a chance to reset. Circulation and blood flow. Erections depend on nitric oxide, the molecule that dilates blood vessels. Every release drains those reserves. It takes rest, deep sleep, and proper nutrition to rebuild nitric oxide levels. Without recovery, you go into the next encounter with an empty tank. And instead of a full, firm response, you get a half-strength echo of what should be there. A story, Edward, 72. Edward, a retired engineer, walked into my clinic proud. "Doc, I've never missed a day. I'm proving to myself I'm still a man." But his face told another story: dark circles, chronic fatigue, irritability. His labs showed low testosterone, high cortisol, and inflamed prostate markers. He thought he was maintaining discipline. In reality, he was burning himself down. I told him, "Edward, discipline isn't just pushing, it's knowing when to rest." Reluctantly, he began spacing his sessions, 2 to 3 days between, with light walking, hydration, and regular sleep. Within weeks, his testosterone climbed, his energy steadied, and his wife leaned over to me, smiling. "Doc, he finally looks alive again." The science. A 2016 Journal of Urology study confirmed what I saw in Edward. Men who allowed recovery between activity had higher testosterone, stronger erections, and lower rates of dysfunction compared to those who pushed daily. Rest isn't wasted time. It's the hidden training ground where your system rebuilds, bringing it back to you. So let me ask you, gentlemen, are you giving your body time to heal, or are you rushing out of fear? Too many men push because they think, "If I don't use it, I'll lose it." The irony: by rushing, you lose it faster. If you know you've been guilty of rushing, type "rest" in the comments. It's a declaration that you'll stop punishing your system and start respecting it. And before we continue, hit that like button. Because every man who does is saying, "I choose wisdom, I choose strength, I choose recovery." And here's my blessing: may every man who taps like today find deeper sleep, restored energy, and stronger mornings than he's known in years. Mistake #4 is neglecting recovery. Once you correct it, your body responds with surprising strength. And that leads us straight into the next trap men fall into: the temptation of pills. Pills that promise everything but often fix nothing. Gentlemen, before we dive into mistake number 5, let me pause and address a comment I see again and again. One of you wrote, "Doc, how do I know how long is enough to recover? 2 days? 3? A week?" It's a great question, and here's the truth: there is no single answer carved in stone. Recovery is personal. Some men feel fully restored in 48 hours. Others need 3, even 4 days, especially after 60, when hormones rebound slower and circulation rebuilds more gradually. The real sign is your own body. Morning energy returning, morning erections stronger, mood steadier. That's when you know the system has reset. Push before that and you're draining. Wait until then and you're building. Now let's move into mistake number 5 because it connects perfectly: relying on pills instead of fixing the root. The illusion of the quick fix. Here's the pattern I see every week. A man feels his performance slipping. Instead of asking why, instead of addressing circulation, hormones, or nerves, he turns to a pill. It works for a while. Confidence comes back. But months later, he notices it's weaker. The pill doesn't hit the way it used to, so he takes more, or he switches brands, or he adds supplements on top. But the truth is this: the foundation beneath is still crumbling. Thomas's story. Thomas, 71, came into my office with a bag of prescriptions. "Doc, they worked at first, but now nothing." He thought the drugs had betrayed him, but when we tested him, we found the real story. Arteries clogged with years of sugar damage, nerves dulled from overstimulation, testosterone suppressed from chronic fatigue. Pills can amplify blood flow, but only if blood flow still exists to amplify. Without a foundation, the quick fix fails. The science. The Journal of Sexual Medicine reports nearly 40% of older men who rely only on pills find them less effective after a few years. Not because the pill changes, but because their bodies keep declining underneath. Pills mask symptoms. They don't heal causes. The battery and jumper cable metaphor. Think of it like jumper cables. If your car battery is weak, jumper cables can spark it back to life. But if you never replace or recharge the battery, one day the cables won't help at all. Pills are jumper cables. Your body is the battery. You need to rebuild the battery, not just chase sparks. What fixing the root looks like: circulation, daily walks, nitric oxide boosting foods like beets, spinach, pomegranate. Hormones, sleep before midnight. Strength training, healthy fats. Nerves, pelvic floor training, respecting recovery time. Prostate, anti-inflammatory diet, hydration, timing, regular checks. Thomas made these changes. 6 months later, he told me, "Doc, I still keep the pill in the drawer, but honestly, I don't need it like before. My body is working again." That's the difference between dependence and freedom, bringing it back to you. So let me ask you directly, are you building your future on pills or on your body's natural strength? If you've ever felt trapped by medication, type freedom in the comments. Because freedom doesn't come from a prescription, it comes from taking back the foundation. And before we move on, hit that like button. Because every man who does is saying, I choose root over symptom. I choose healing over hiding. And may every man who likes today find restored energy, deeper strength, and freedom from dependence. Mistake #5 is trusting the pill more than yourself. And once you break free from that illusion, you see the real medicine waiting for you every night: sleep. The most powerful, overlooked therapy for men over 60. Gentlemen, before I get into mistake number 6, let me read a comment I've seen again and again on this channel. "Doc, I eat right, I exercise, I even cut back on sugar, but I'm still tired, still weak, still drained. What am I missing?" That, gentlemen, is the perfect lead-in to mistake number 6, forgetting the role of sleep. You see, most men treat sleep like a luxury, something they can sacrifice for a late-night show, a glass of whiskey, or scrolling through their phone. But the truth is this: sleep is not optional. It is the most powerful, free, anabolic drug your body produces. And when you neglect it, you're not just losing hours, you're losing hormones, circulation, and vitality. The hormone factory. Testosterone is rebuilt at night. The majority of daily testosterone release happens during deep sleep. Miss that, and your levels crash. Harvard researchers showed that men who slept fewer than 5 hours a night had testosterone levels equal to men 10 to 15 years older. Imagine aging a decade in one summer just because you stayed up too late. Circulation and blood vessels. Deep sleep is when blood vessels repair themselves. It's when nitric oxide, your erection fuel, is replenished. Without it, your arteries stiffen, your circulation falters, and your morning strength disappears. Nervous system reset. Your pelvic nerves need recovery just as much as your muscles. Sleep is the reset button. Without it, those nerves stay inflamed, leaving you sluggish, less responsive, and numb to pleasure. Cortisol and stress. Lack of sleep raises cortisol, the stress hormone. High cortisol means belly fat, inflamed prostate, weak libido, and poor erections. It's the perfect recipe for decline. A real case, Martin, 66. Martin, a retired electrician, told me, "Doc, I do everything right: diet, exercise, even pelvic floor training, but I'm still exhausted." His wife whispered, "He's up till 1 a.m. every night watching TV." That was the missing link. Once he cut late nights, walked after dinner, and set a firm bedtime, his energy and erections returned. His wife laughed, "Doc, I think he's finally outpacing me again." The hard truth: gentlemen, lack of sleep is not harmless. It is slow poison. It robs your hormones, your nerves, your circulation. Every hour you sacrifice after midnight is a debt your body must repay with interest. So let me ask you, when was the last time you woke up truly refreshed? If you can't remember, that's your warning. Action steps. Go to bed at the same time every night. Take a 10-minute walk after dinner. Keep the room cool and dark. Avoid alcohol and screens before bed. Your turn. If you know you've been neglecting sleep, type sleep in the comments. It's your pledge to reclaim your nights. And before we continue, hit that like button. Because every man who does is saying, I will rest, I will heal, I will rise again. And may those who like find peaceful nights, powerful mornings, and years of strength restored. Mistake #6 is forgetting sleep. But once you reclaim it, you discover that vitality is not gone. It was waiting in your pillow all along. And that brings us to mistake number 7. Gentlemen, before I introduce mistake almost every man ignores until I've seen many times on this channel. Doc, I'm not overweight, I'm even skinny, so why should I worry about blood sugar? That's the trap. Most men think blood sugar problems only belong to the overweight. But the truth, Even lean men can suffer circulation damage, nerve injury, and prostate inflammation from unstable glucose, which leads us right into mistake number 7, ignoring blood sugar control. Why blood sugar matters. Every time you drink soda, eat white bread, or finish off that late-night pastry, your blood sugar spikes. That spike scratches the lining of your arteries. Over time, those arteries stiffen and narrow, and when they do, blood doesn't flow the way it should. Erections weaken, energy collapses, memory falters. It's not just about your waistline, it's about your blood, your nerves, and your manhood. David's story. David, 70, a retired steel worker, sat across from me looking defeated. "Doc, the switch doesn't flip anymore." His blood work told the story: fasting glucose high, A1C creeping upward, early insulin resistance. He wasn't overweight, but his arteries and nerves were under siege. We made simple changes, swapped desserts for nuts and berries, added short walks after meals, cut back on alcohol. 3 months later, his blood sugar stabilized, his circulation improved, his mornings returned. With tears in his eyes, he told me, "Doc, I thought I was losing manhood. Turns out I was just feeding the wrong thing." The science. A 2013 study in the Journal of Sexual Medicine showed men with poor blood sugar control were nearly twice as likely to suffer erectile dysfunction compared to men with stable glucose. Not maybe, not slightly, twice as likely. And it's not just circulation. High sugar inflames nerves, dulls sensitivity, and suppresses testosterone. It's like rust on the wires and acid in the pipes. You don't see it right away, but it's eating you alive. What you can do: cut processed sugars, sodas, candy, pastries, add fiber, vegetables, legumes, whole grains slow down the spikes. Walk 10 minutes after meals, lowers sugar naturally. Protect sleep. Poor rest worsens insulin resistance. Hydrate, water keeps blood moving and balanced. Your move. So let me ask you plainly, what's worth more? 5 minutes of sweetness on your tongue, or years of strength, intimacy, and fire in your body? If you're ready to take sugar seriously, type "no sugar" in the comments. And before we continue, hit that like button. Because every man who does is saying, "I will not feed the enemy any longer. I will protect my blood, my nerves, my manhood." And may those who, like today, find freedom from cravings, sharper minds, and stronger mornings. Mistake #7 is ignoring blood sugar. Correct it, and you not only restore circulation, you add years of vitality to your life. But there's still one more truth we must land on before we close. The final word that brings it all together: you are not broken.